Is it time to start a third party? Many disheartened people are asking that very question. In this video, we are going to take a look at two essential aspects of forming a third party, what the advantages happen to be with that, and what the prospects are for the future of the GOP. You're not going to want to miss this. Now, before we dive in, before we do anything else, make sure to subscribe to my brand new Rumble channel, which you can do by clicking on the link below. And please join me on Parler as well. You find that link below. Also, let's give a huge shout out to our sponsor, and that's the makers of the Cold Killer Heater. It really is an amazing device. It works in even the coldest corners of my home where it seems impossible to warm up. It's my very own furnace at my fingertips. I can move it virtually anywhere I want. My desktop, countertop, patio, or any other flat surface that needs heat. Order the Cold Killer today and take advantage of up to 50% off for first-time buyers. Visit thecoldkiller.com. That's thecoldkiller.com, or click on the link in the description below and stay warm this winter season today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Obviously, I'm sure you're all aware now that early this morning, Joe Biden was indeed certified by Congress to be the 46th president-elect of the United States. President Trump, via Dan Scavino, tweeted out, "Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. I've always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. And while this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again." The vote to sustain the objections to the Electoral College was not even close. For example, the objection to Pennsylvania's electors failed in the Senate 92-7. Clearly, as we saw throughout the night, any and all momentum that we had going into the day yesterday, as far as our politicians were concerned, just completely evaporated. It disappeared after the Capitol building was breached. Trump was immediately blamed throughout the mainstream media. And frankly, whatever political capital that we had built up going into the day had completely vanished. And so the question, of course, is where do we go from here? We talked about this a bit on last night's live stream. We've lost the House, White House. We've lost the Senate. So where do we go from here? Well, one proposal that's been making the rounds of late is maybe now it's time to start a third party, or as Jack Kerwick over at the American Greatness puts it, is it time for never GOP? In other words, while our detractors like to refer to themselves as never Trumpers, perhaps we can return the favor and become a massive movement of never GOP. Now, of course, these are our questions. Is it time for a third party? Is it time for never GOP? These are questions that are being asked in direct response to just how disappointing the Republican leadership has been in their abject failure in advocating and defending a real alternative to the leftist globalism of the Democrat Party. They appear totally and completely uninterested in stopping what seems to be an incessant march towards the progressive left. They're scared to death of the scorn of the mainstream media. They turn their back on the deplorables every single chance they get. Is now the time to seriously think about forming a third party? If we take Europe as our model, the answer to that may indeed be an emphatic yes. Take, for example, the Brexit Party, founded by Nigel Farage in the UK. Now, one of the things that Nigel Farage did when he saw that Theresa May, the Prime Minister, was deliberately sabotaging Brexit, he said, that's it. We're going third party. I mean, third party being an expression of a non-mainline party, as it were. Britain's actually got several parties. But we're going third party. We're turning our back on the Conservatives, the Tories, same thing in Britain. They're no longer fit for purpose. And we're going to form our own Brexit Party. Now, this was just before the European Parliament elections in May of 2019, just a couple of months prior. And astonishingly, 1 in 3 Brits ended up voting for the Brexit Party when it was just barely 6 weeks old. I mean, you need to let that hit you. Brits were so frustrated and so disappointed with the Tories, the Conservative Party, that over 30% of them, the entire population, voted for a party that wasn't even 3 months old. That's the power of a third party if the demand is there. The Brexit Party absolutely humiliated the Tories in the European Parliament elections. In fact, I think the Tories were reduced to single-digit support, if I recall, I think they came down to fourth, fifth place. Now, here's the real magic of a third party, like the Brexit Party. As a result of their political humiliation, the Conservatives had to embrace Brexit. Up until that point, they were being led by a bunch of Mittens Romneys who wanted to placate the European Union so much that it in effect nullified any semblance of an actual Brexit, an actual break from the EU. Just the very way Romney wants to turn the Republican Party back into a Democrat-light party, a thoroughly corporatist, globalist party that embraces anything and everything that CNN embraces, right? Just not as much as the Democrats do. Well, because of the rise of this third party, the Brexit Party, the Tories were forced to embrace Brexit fully, put pro-Brexit leaders in power like Boris Johnson, and as a result, they went on to win one of the biggest landslide victories in December of 2019 that British politics had seen in almost 100 years. And so that's one reason for forming a third party. It forces the main party, in our case, the Republican Party, to pivot and embrace a more nationalist populist paradigm, which at the same time would force feckless Republicans out of leadership and put in hardcore deplorables fully in power in the leadership of the Republican Party. So from this vantage point, the third party operates like a kind of forcing function. It actually forces the mainline party to bend, as it were, to the concerns and interests of the third party, just like the Tories had to do with the Brexit Party. So that's one reason for starting a third party. There is another reason as well. But first, I do want to personally invite you to our exclusive New Year's virtual conference this Saturday on January 9th, where we're going to talk more about this populist uprising that's going on all over the world. We've got Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano will be with us, as well as Ian Smith, the New Jersey gym owner, who's defying the governor's tyrannical lockdown orders. Now, though it's a virtual conference, seating is limited and the spots are going fast. And to make it even better, we are extending our New Year's 30% discount for just the next day or so, so do not wait. Make sure to click on that link below and register today, and I look forward to seeing you this Saturday. All right, so if we look to Europe as our model, there is another reason for starting a third party, and that's what some scholars are calling a bootleg party. The mainline globalist parties in Europe, either on the center left or the center right, globalist centrist parties, they by definition refuse to deal with the issues, say, for example, of immigration that so many populists are concerned about. Whenever the leadership of these parties are confronted with the demand to secure their nation's borders, the center-left, center-right globalist parties, the neo-libs and the neo-cons, they always respond with politically correct accusations. They always respond by accusing their voters of racism and bigotry and xenophobia and the like. So, for example, this is exactly how French President Emmanuel Macron originally tried to handle the surge in nationalist populism with the rise of the Yellow Vest protesters. He originally labeled them really as nothing more than anti-Semitic bigots. And here's the key. Because both the center-left and the center-right, because of their shared commitment to globalism and progressive-inspired human rights and all this sort of stuff, because both the center-left and the center-right rejected the concerns of European citizens over unfettered immigration, that opened up the opportunity for bootleggers to come in, right? You know what a bootlegger is, right? You make alcohol illegal, but if people want to drink, what are they going to do? They're going to turn to the black market. They're going to turn to these bootlegger parties who found a cash cow, as it were, in supplying the very nationalist populist leadership that the centrist parties refused to make available. That is what we've been seeing in Europe. That is what's been giving rise to the French National Rally or the Lega Party in Italy or Vox Party in Spain or Sweden Democrats or True Finns, the Swiss People's Party. We could go on and on. Nationalist populist third parties pop up rather organically when the two main center-right, center-left parties ignore and dismiss the sentiments of the population. In many respects, a hybrid of this happened with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was a third-party candidate, a bootleg candidate who won a major party nomination. Okay, Trump was a third-party candidate who won a major party nomination. So in many respects, and this is key, As much as center-left and center-right mainline parties may want to whine and complain about the rise of populists all over the place, in many respects, they have only themselves to blame. Globalists created the social conditions that all but guaranteed the rise of the nationalist populist right. And the beauty of it all, the more globalist the centrist parties get, the more powerful populism becomes. That's the bootleg model for a third party, right? So is it time to start a third party? Well, time is going to tell on that one. We have the 2022 midterm elections coming up, and if we're able to get a handle on electoral integrity, which we should be able to do with our 30 current Republican states, if we get a grip on electoral integrity, then really it comes down to whether or not we can cleanse the Republican leadership of every single rhino in the nation by primarying them, right? We need to primary each and every one of them. And given the mood of the rank and file of the Republican Party right now, we should be able to defeat them quite easily. If we spend the next 2 years cleansing the Republican Party of any hint of McConnell's and Romney's and Georgia's Brian Kemp, then the Republican Party will have been officially transformed from within. But if no such transformation is possible, then I frankly think a third party is inevitable. And if that happens, and if what's been happening in Europe is any indicator, then the days of the Republican Party may indeed be coming to an end. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And please click on the links down below and subscribe to my Rumble channel, my Parler feed, and definitely register for our virtual conference this Saturday. We'll have Doug Mastriano and Ian Smith. Can't wait to see you there. Make sure to click on those links, and I'll see you then. God bless.